Hello and welcome to Introduction to Psychology. My name is Dr. Maureen Gray, and I'm very excited to be your professor this semester. In this lecture video, I want to start off by sharing a little bit of information about me so that you know I am more than just a little two-dimensional box on your computer screen right now. I'm going to talk about the syllabus a little bit. I'll share a few words about the textbook, and then we'll end with a typical week of this class. So, first, I want you to know a bit about my educational history. I'm local, so I grew up in Naperville, Illinois, and from there I went to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where I earned a degree in psychology and statistics. Then I went on to get my PhD in cognitive psychology at the University of California, Los Angeles. After graduating, I worked at College of DuPage for about a year before I got my full-time job here at Elgin Community College in fall of 2022. So that means that I've been here for 3 full years, which feels wild to me. This is absolutely my dream job, and I just could not be more excited to be here and to be a part of the Elgin Community College community. In my spare time, one of the things I really like to do is to be outside. Here is a picture of myself and my partner from a trip to Costa Rica that we took in 2023. I actually was an assistant director for a study abroad program there, and that trip was just so wonderful. What a beautiful country. I cannot wait to go back. A slightly more recent one, we also went to the Pacific Northwest this summer. That's a picture of my partner and me just splashing around in one of the many wonderful lakes in that area. The opposite of outdoor would be these indoor cats. So this is another thing that I do in my spare time. I care for 2 very indoor, very high needs cats. The one on the left there, the black cat, his name is Kibby. He is so old that I am actually describing him as decrepit. He is 18 years old, and I think he's asleep right now, but you may hear him periodically singing the Song of His People during my recordings. That's just something that he does with his time now, which is really fun. The other cat is the Siamese-looking one. Her name is Piece of Toast. We call her Toast for short. Why do we call her Piece of Toast, you wonder? Well, it's because she looks like a piece of toast, you know? Like someone just left her in there a little too long. When I'm not caring for those 2 goofballs, you can probably find me reading or playing video games. I am a really big reader. Some fun books I read this summer include the one that I'm still talking the most about is Our Share of Night, which was a really good horror novel written by an Argentinian woman, which, my gosh, it's haunting me to this day. And then like 2 weeks ago, I finished a book called All Fours, which was very weird and made me feel like I was going crazy, but like in a very enjoyable way, so I liked that one too. I will pretty much read anything, and I love recommendations and talking about books, so if you have any that you want to share with me, please hit me up. I'm always happy to chat about books. And on the side of video games, my partner just got the Switch 2, and I think has already beat the Donkey Kong game, so I'm up next on that one. But in the meantime, I've been playing a lot of Slay the Spire, which is a roguelike deck builder. Plays a lot like a board game, but I've honestly spent, I don't even know how many hours on this game since I bought it. I'm a little bit embarrassed to check, so I haven't yet. I also really love spending time with my family. This is the only picture I have so far of everyone all together, so please bear with me because these folks are really important to me. So on the end in the red, the really tall person, that is my middle brother, Doug. Doug actually graduated from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign with a degree in psychology. Next to my brother Doug is my dad, Dr. Ken Gray. And I will let you guess what Dr. Ken Gray is a professor of at College of DuPage. It's psychology. Next to my dad is my youngest brother, G. G just graduated from from North Central College with a degree in actually philosophy. No, I'm kidding. They double majored, psychology and philosophy. So we are absolutely a family of psychologists. Right next to my brother G in the white is my mom, Karen Gray. I actually don't know if she has ever even taken a psychology class, but you know what? We love her anyway. She works in, I think, like marketing, something like that. Next to my mom in the black is Doug's fiance, Marin. They got engaged in February, and I probably could still make myself cry if I think about it too much. I'm so excited for them. Marin is a physical therapist. On the other side of my mom is my partner, Charlie. Charlie is a PA in general surgery, which is very strange to me. He's one of the goofiest people I know, and I just cannot picture that man cutting people open for a living, but that's what he does. Next to Charlie is me, and then behind me are Charlie's parents, Karen and Tom. They are retired, and it looks incredible. Tom spends a lot of his time building Kinects models that have like really complex motors and cool stuff like that. And Karen gives tours at in St. Augustine, Florida, and she actually just published a book version of her tour, which you can find on Amazon. And then finally, on the end there is my future sister-in-law, Colleen. Colleen just actually changed jobs a few weeks ago, and I'm not sure that I'm going to get her new title right, but I know that she works in at an organization that owns several veterinary hospitals, and she helps organize all the medical care between all of those hospitals. She is an avid dog lover. I think at most recent count she had 7 dogs, and she loves them very much. They love her, and they're all a big happy family. Last thing that I wanted to share with you is that I like to exercise. There are lots of things I like to do. So one thing is, exercising with my family. That's really fun. But a lot of the work that I do in the gym is in pursuit of my sport of choice, which is called obstacle course racing. Obstacle course racing is pretty much what it sounds like. You are running a race, but there are obstacles in your way. I can't get this video to play, unfortunately, which is a shame because it's pretty cool. Let's see if I can press the button over here. There we go. Okay. So in an obstacle course race, you will do some running, and then you might have to traverse what is called a rig, which you can see me doing right here. Or you might have to carry some heavy stuff for a little while, or crawl under some barbed wire, or jump into a giant pool filled with ice, which I had to do in my most recent race. Really didn't enjoy it. But this is a super fun sport. It really makes me feel like, honestly, kind of like I'm a kid again. That's how fun it is. So that is enough about me. You'll surely hear more about me as the course goes on, because I'm very big on sharing personal examples of course concepts. But for now, let's turn our attention to this class. Before we zoom in to Psych 100, I want to actually zoom out and talk about what a credit hour is. You may have not actually thought about what on earth a credit hour is. You may know, though, that this class, Psych 100, is a 3 credit hour class. But what does that actually mean? To think about this, let's start with the idea that taking 12 credit hours means that you are a full-time student. There is a capital O official definition of a credit hour. This comes from the Department of Education. A credit hour is something that approximates not less than 1 hour of class and 2 hours of out of class student work per week over a semester for a semester hour. So to interpret that a little bit, what does that mean? From the Department of Education, a credit hour by definition corresponds to being in class, or to 1 hour of in-class time and 2 hours of out-of-class time. So for every credit hour in a course you are taking, you should be spending 2 hours on that class outside of being in class. Now, I've been a student. I know that most folks do not do this. The reason I'm talking about this now is because I want to set your expectations, right? So if you are a full-time student, if you are taking 12 credit hours, that means you're spending 12 hours in class. Then by definition for a credit hour, for each of those hours you're in class, you should be spending 2 hours outside of class. So that's 12 plus 12 times 2, which is equal to 12 plus 24. And if you add that all up, you get 36 hours. That is a full-time job, folks. That is what we mean by full-time student. If you are a full-time student, this means it is a full-time job. So I shared with you that I'm talking about this now because I want to set your expectations. How does that translate to this class specifically? Right? We know already that Psych 100 is a 3 credit hour class. That is a typo. This is a 16-week class. We're not imagining this. We are actually in a 16-week class, pardon me. So in this 16-week class, we have about 3 hours of class time per week. I am putting class time in scare quotes here because it's a little different in an online format. You're not going to be sitting in a classroom, right? This class is asynchronous, so all the things that we would be doing in class, you're going to be doing at home. But you can expect about 3 hour, or, you can expect this kind of class time work to be things like watching lecture videos, completing activities that I would assign during class. So if you have these 3 hours of class time per week, we're going to add to that 3 times 2, which equals 6 hours of out of class time, right? So altogether, that adds up to 9 hours per week. I'll say that again clearly. This class is built with the expectation that you can put in 9 hours of work per week into it. It says in my notes here to pause for laughter, right? Because nobody can do that, right? Well, I mean, maybe you can do that, but I know that you're busy. I know you're probably enrolled in other classes. You probably have a job. You probably have a family and lots of other things that are pulling on your time and attention. I know that students don't put in the expected amount of time, but you have to try to get close. If you are sitting here watching this video thinking, shoot, Dr. Gray, I only have 2 hours a week. That's all I can do. I strongly urge you to reconsider. I don't know if it's possible for anyone to be successful in this course in 2 hours a week, right? Okay, so let's move on to talking about the syllabus. Quick side note here, the part of the video now that you're going to watch where I talk about the syllabus is not a replacement for reading that syllabus. You are responsible for knowing what is in the syllabus. I see it a little bit like a contract that I'm entering into with you. Wouldn't you like to know what the terms of that contract are? Wouldn't you like to know what my expectations are, what you are going to be doing as a part of this course, and what I promise to do in return, right? That information is all in the syllabus. If that was not enticing enough, here are just a bunch of questions that you might be interested in answering. Would you like to know how many points you need to get an A or a B or a C? Would you like to know why you should not trust the grade percentage you see on D2L? Would you like to know if you can use ChatGPT or other generative artificial intelligence? Well, I've got some good news for you. All of that and more is in the syllabus. I am going to show you the syllabus just briefly so that you know where to find it and you know a little bit about how to navigate it. So if I minimize my PowerPoint here, now we are looking at the home page to the course D2L page. You can get to the syllabus in a couple of ways. One is that I'll post a link to the syllabus in an announcement, which will appear down here in the announcements section. But the other way you can do this is by clicking over to the content area. There are two ways to get to the syllabus from here. The first is under course orientation. Once you are in the course orientation place, you can click Fall 2025 link to course syllabus. You can also find the syllabus in the first week module under Introduction to Psychology weekly course modules. So if you click into here, I will talk you through this page later on in this intro video, but for now, I'll just scroll down and show you the syllabus is also linked here. Right, so the syllabus appears as a Google Doc, and I built it this way so that you can use this really nice outline function on the left. This makes the document a lot easier to navigate, in my opinion, right? So instead of having to read it line by line, you can actually just scroll through the outline and decide for yourself, oh, you know what? I actually think I'm really curious about how the discussion board is going to work. So I'm going to read this part right now, right? You can also Control F to look for things like the late policy, and that will help you hopefully find what you're looking for in an easier fashion. All right, so now let's go back to a little bit of lecture, or a little bit of my lecture on the syllabus. There are a couple things that I want to highlight about that syllabus. The first thing is the general course objectives for the class. I'm not going to read them to you because they are in the syllabus, but these exist to ensure that all of the different introduction psychology classes at ECC accomplish the most important goals for the class. However, that is not to say that all intro classes here are the same. Different instructors place different emphasis on these various objectives. So for example, I am really, really big on number 4, application of psychology. Have you ever taken a class that makes you say, well, gee, this feels worthless. When am I ever going to use this information, right? This is pointless. It is my hope that that will not happen in this class. You can use psychology every single day. If you do the work and you engage with the material, psychology has the power to change your life if you learn how to use it. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the textbook. The textbook for this course is called Introduction to Psychology, and it is a specific kind of textbook called an Open Educational Resource, or OER. An OER is a free online textbook. So this book is available online, and because it is available online, it is up to date, which means the authors of that textbook are diligently working to make sure that the content you are reading is current and that the research supporting what you're reading is strong. But most importantly, this textbook is free, right? You do not have to do anything in order to access this textbook. All you need to do is click the link that is posted on D2L in the syllabus, many other places this link is available. All you need to do is click that link and you will be taken directly to that book and you'll be able to read it on your computer. If you prefer not to read things on your computer, I know that is the case for some folks, there is an option to print some sections of the book, a few pages at a time, through the library. I will share more information about how to do that in an announcement soon. Oh, and I guess the last thing I should say about this book is if you squint real close at the title of the book and the authorship list that I put next to this all this text, you'll note that there are 2 people with the same last name in that list. You'll see there is a Kenneth Gray, an Elizabeth Arnott Hill, an Orchandra Benson, and a Maureen Gray. That is not just an accident or a coincidence. This is a book that was originally published by some of my previous colleagues at College of DuPage, Elizabeth Arnott Hill and Orchandra Benson, and my dad, Ken Gray. And within the last few years, I have joined the authorship team. So some of the stuff that you are going to be reading this semester, I actually wrote, which I'm very excited about. So I really hope that you're going to find this book useful and accessible. I also want to spend some time talking about technology in this course because there are a couple elements that you may not be used to. One thing that I hope you are familiar with already is D2L. This is the place where we're going to put all of the course assignments, announcements will be put up there, your weekly plans for the week will be on D2L, and you're going to submit all of your assignments through D2L. There are some tutorials available to help you navigate D2L, and I will show you later on in this video how to use our course website more specifically. The next piece of technology that I want to talk about that you might not have in your other classes is a Google Drive folder. This class uses a Google Drive folder, and in this Google Drive folder you can find a whole heck of a lot of things. I put things like lecture videos up there, lecture slides like PDFs, handouts, assignment instructions, lots and lots of good stuff is on that Google Drive. Let me show you what that Google Drive looks like and some of the things that you can find in there. Okay, so ways to get to the Google Drive. There's a link in the syllabus, of course, but there's also a link here on our course homepage. If you go under the links and contact information widget, you can click this link that will bring you to our course Google Drive. Here are those folders that I promised you, right? Assignment instructions, handouts, lecture slides, videos. Here is a copy of the syllabus. And the last thing that I'll point out to you is this Google Sheets document, the schedule for students. This is a schedule at a glance that includes everything you are going to do this semester, right? It has all of the reading that's assigned this week, the discussion board prompts, whether or not you have a quiz, everything that is assigned and due, and which lecture videos you are going to watch. Some people have told me that when they look at all of this all at once, it makes them want to throw up. If that's you, cool. You never have to look at this again. I make this available because this is how my brain likes things. I love to see everything all at once, and this is how I plan the class. Right at the beginning of the semester, before everything starts, I go through and I write down the dates for that semester. I plan out which lecture videos go where, what reading goes where, etc. And if it helps you to have this calendar available, I want you to have it, right? But again, if it doesn't, you don't ever have to look at it again. Okay. What's next? Oh yes, the next and final piece of technology, one that I imagine you're not familiar with in the context of a class, is Discord. Discord is often used by people that play video games to chat with one another, but also I think actually in more recent years it's expanded to just give people who don't live in the same house a way to stay close and connected with their friends. I use it for just voice chatting with people, with friends that don't live close to me. And we are going to be using it in this class. If you are not familiar with Discord, I really hope that you're going to find it easy to use. There are some instructions and walkthroughs in the pre-course survey/Discord assignment, and I am going to record a separate video where I walk through everything that we are going to be using with Discord. So I'm not going to go into that now because this video is it would be way too long with the Discord stuff in it. But for now, I'll just mention a couple things about Discord and why I like it. It is available in many different ways, right? You can use it as an app on your computer. That's what I do. I also have the phone app, but I understand if you don't want to download yet another app. And if that's the case, you can always use it in a browser. If you choose to use it in a browser, I recommend that you bookmark the link to our Discord server. The server is the space where everyone in all of my classes are going to be connected. And there is a link to the server in, guess what? The syllabus. And also in this course links and contact information widget here. Okay. But like I said, I will go more into Discord in another lecture video. For now, I just want you to know that we're using it because it's a much easier way for you to stay in touch with me than using email, especially in this online setting. If you have a question about your grades, you have to use your ECC student email. That is the rule at ECC. For privacy concerns, we're not allowed to discuss grades when we're not using the ECC email. However, for literally everything else, please use Discord. I am not wearing a watch right now, but I get Discord notifications on my phone. I get Discord notifications on my watch. For very boring and annoying privacy concerns, I do not have push notifications from my ECC email on my phone. So if you send me an email, I will see it and I will respond to it, but it's probably going to take me a longer time. If you just send me a direct message or basically like a text on Discord, I'll get that message right away, and if I'm available, I will respond. The other nice thing about Discord is that it has a course questions channel where you're going to be able to ask any questions you have about the class, like when is something due, can you give me another example of classical conditioning, etc. All that good stuff is in a public space so that your classmates can answer your question if I'm not immediately available, and other people can benefit from your question, which is a huge amazing thing about that aspect of Discord. All right, now let's talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing in this class. Here is a table of the course requirements. This is reprinted from the syllabus, but in a more fun color scheme. There are several things that you're going to be doing over the course of the semester to earn your grade. The course is out of 1,000 points total to make it easy for you to figure out how much each assignment is worth as a proportion of your grade. So you can take a look at the exams section and you can see, there are 250 points for exams. 250 out of 1,000 is 25%, right? So exams are worth 25%. Over the course of the semester, you will take 2 open book exams, one during midterms week, which is week 8, and another during finals week. Although these are open book, I really do not want you to underestimate them. They are challenging. You also will be taking 11 quizzes over the course of the semester. I'm going to talk a lot more about quizzes in a different lecture video this week, so I won't say more about them now, other than you can take them an unlimited number of times, and your highest score counts for your grade. And then you're going to do a series of other assignments that I'm going to talk about in the future slides here. First are discussion posts. These discussion board posts will be worth almost 20% of your overall grade in the class. And, oh, pardon me, this is another typo. This is supposed to be 12 out of the 16 weeks of the semester. You are going to be making discussion board posts and responding to prompts that I pose. I really, really believe that engaging in discussion is a very important part of your experience in this course. I don't want you to feel like you are alone and the only person taking this class, because you're not. There are 30 of you in this class, and connecting with other people to see what they are taking away from the material and experiencing their other perspectives is a really valuable thing that you can get out of a discussion board activity. So in this class, 12 weeks out of the 16 weeks of the semester, you are going to be required to post on the discussion board. You need to make 5 posts total, and the posts that you give can be any combination of original comments or replies to other students. So you don't have to, there's no requirement to reply to other people, but it probably will make your experience a little bit more engaging if you decide to do that. All you need is 5 posts total. These discussions will take place on D2L. The next piece that I want to talk about is Psych in the Wild assignments. One thing that you should know about me is that I am a chronically not online person. I don't go on the internet for fun. But back in my day, I used to say in the wild as internet slang for in your normal everyday life. If people don't do that anymore and you're looking at me like I'm crazy, I'm sorry, but that's what it was like when I was on the internet. So these Psych in the Wild assignments are intended to help you actually make connections between the course content and the wild, your everyday life, right? There are 8 assignments total over the course of the semester. They're going to be due in the same week that they are assigned because they're not intended to be super, super complicated. The instructions will vary, but again, all of them are going to help you make some connections between what we're learning in class and what's going on in your real life. All right, so we have talked about a whole heck of a lot of stuff, right? I want to pause to ask and then immediately answer a rhetorical question. How will you be successful? 3 things. 1, do what I ask you to do. 2, do it how I ask you to do it. And 3, do it when I ask you to do it. These 3 things are so simple so as to almost be insulting to you, but I really do not mean that way. So let me explain. 1, do what I ask you to do. I cannot tell you how many people fail my class because they don't complete the work. If you make a solid effort at this class, if you submit your assignments, if you put in that solid effort, you'll pass. But most of you probably want to do more than pass, right? So that brings me to number 2. Do it how I want you to do it. I am a cognitive psychologist by training, and in grad school, I studied how people learn. The methods that I'm teaching you, the strategies that I'm recommending that you use, these are not things that I just picked because they sounded fun. These are strategies that are backed by decades and decades of research showing that this is how people learn most effectively. And number 3, do it when I ask you to do it. This advice is based on research also, designed to help you spread out your workload so that you don't fall behind and get overwhelmed, right? So these 3 things will help you immensely. But finally, 4th thing, always remember, it is literally my job to help you succeed. More than this being my job, however, this is something that I love to do. I am a professor in large part because I love people. I love helping people. If there is something that I can do to help you to be successful or to better support you, I want to know what it is. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Speaking of reaching out to me, how can you do that? Well, one way is through my office hours. I set aside time every week specifically for you, for my students. These office hours are for you to ask questions about the course, for you to ask questions about a career in psychology, or honestly to just stop by and say hi. That's also fine. I have both online and in-person options, and the schedule is something that I'll post in the syllabus and make available on Discord. If this office hour schedule does not work for you, I have 2 hours available for appointment. So please send me a message to schedule another time. Okay, let's end with a typical week in the course. The course works on a Sunday to Sunday schedule, which means that each Sunday at 11:59 p.m., I'm going to release the material for the upcoming week, and deadlines are generally going to be the next Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., with one exception for assignments during the first week and last week. In that week, you're going to see an ordered checklist with everything that you need to do. I am going to give you some suggested deadlines within that week, but those suggested deadlines are just that, they're suggestions. The intention with those suggested deadlines is to help you spread out your workload a little bit better. Let me show you what the course D2L page looks like, because that is going to be the best way for you to get an idea of what this schedule actually will be like as a student. So once again, we're starting from the course homepage. Each week, you should get in the habit of heading to the content area early in the week. My recommendation is Monday. And then checking out that week's content area, because this is where all of the assignment instructions, or this is where all of your tasks are going to be located and how you can keep track of what you're supposed to do. At the top of each week's plan, sometimes I will provide a message for you to give you a little bit more context for what's going on that week. Another thing that's always going to be at the top of each week's content area is how many points are available in the course. I'm posting how many points are available because of a fun quirk with the way D2L grades, the D2L gradebook works. When you do not submit assignments, D2L acts as if that assignment and that requirement doesn't exist. And so instead of assigning you a 0, it just doesn't use that assignment at all when it calculates your overall grade. So what happens is students who are missing a lot of assignments end up with an inflated estimate of how well they're doing in the class. And I really don't want that to happen to anyone in this class. So I want you to keep an eye on your grades, but I don't want you to blindly trust that percentage if you're missing assignments. So you can always calculate your grade yourself using the point total that I post at the top of each week's content area. Anyway, so below all of that, you'll see the weekly plan with a list of everything that you are supposed to do this week, right? So read the syllabus, watch this video. You're already doing that. Congratulations. And here below all of that weekly plan, I have a list of things that are assigned this week. I'm gonna post the video that I'm recording right now underneath this lecture videos place, and you'll see some other lecture videos there too. There's also the reading that is assigned this week, and links to that reading that you can just click to bring you right to the correct module. You'll see that there's a quiz assigned this week and other assignments assigned this week. And then finally, the last thing at the bottom is everything that is due this week. So if you're curious, what are you supposed to be doing? What actually needs to be submitted? You can always just scroll down to the bottom of this weekly content area and it will tell you, all right, by the end of this week, you should have finished all of these things. Okay, and then last thing that I will say before we close is the late policy. Check the syllabus for details, please. But basically, up until week 14, you have a 1 week grace period where doesn't matter why that assignment is turned in late, you're not going to get any points off for submitting it within 1 week of that original deadline. After that 1 week grace period, then there is a penalty for submitting the assignment late, but that penalty remains the same all the way until week 14. After week 14, you're not able to turn in assignments that are more than 1 week old, and at the end of the semester, the grace period will be specific to that end of the semester, right? So up until week 14, you have this 1 week grace period. After week 14, you do still have a 1 week grace period for new assignments or for new deadlines, but you cannot turn in anything from before week 14. Oh, and then one other thing I should note here is that discussion board assignments close after that grace period. So although for pretty much everything else, you can work on it and complete it after that 1 week grace period, with discussion board assignments, I am not allowing students to complete those late. The reason for that is because I want to preserve the actual feeling of having a discussion with people. And if a person is commenting on something, 3 months later during December when the discussion took place in August, that's not really a discussion, right? So those assignments do close after that grace period. All right, well, if you're still with me, thank you. I'm very, very excited to have you here.